Emmy made this video called I Hate Being an Atheist, and of course I'm titling my video I Love Being a Skeptic. And she brings up some points that I wanted to address. Absolutely, I love her artistry when it comes to filmmaking, and I think that if she pursues that, she will make the most beautiful movies or TV shows that the world's ever seen. Honestly, do think that. At any rate, so there's some points, some questions that she ponders in this video. One of them is why religions seem to have a lot of things in common. It's actually easy to understand why. Humans are really good pattern-seeking creatures. We see patterns everywhere. If you think that you see the number 3, you're going to start to see it everywhere. It's like, oh, there's 3, phases of the day. There's morning, evening, night, and then there's triangles or 3s, and you could go on, and you could see the number 27 everywhere, or what have you. And so we're really, really good at pattern detection and pattern seeking. And that goes all the way back to when we first evolved and as humanity made its way through Africa. And the easiest, best way to survive was to assume that if you heard something or you thought that you saw something, to assume it was a thing and not just the wind, because then you could prepare to fight or run away or both. And as humans begin to fight each other, it was even more important to assume agency was behind that noise. All it would take for religion to begin to develop would be one person walking alone on the African plains and have something hit their head from above, and they look around and they see nothing that could have thrown it, no one that could have thrown it, and they look up and it's like, well, it came from the sky. And they run back to their tribe and they tell the story of how someone must have thrown this thing at them from the sky. And before you know it, you have a God concept. And of course, the thing that fell on their head could have come from a volcano far away, could have been any number of things, but it doesn't really matter because they've decided that it was a someone that threw whatever it was, dropped it onto their head. So we develop these ideas as we evolve and as we become more complex societies. Religion, whether it's unknowingly or knowingly, depends on the religion, of course, it depends on those in charge, of course, has taken the best parts of humanity to be used to many times control people, but not just that, but also to forward the ideas of that religion. Religion is a meme that can only exist as long as people believe in it. The religions that aren't around today aren't around because people don't believe in them. Or very, very, very few people do. And if you track the history of religions, you can see them evolve. You can see how they're intertwined and interrelated, especially the Western religions. The Eastern religions are different. And whatever recurring themes might be there is either because humans make those sort of themes recurringly, or because there was some proto-religion, 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 proto-religion In any case, the need for a social structure, the need to interact with other humans, that's something that many humans share. And so that need for community, to be sitting with people and doing the same things as them, singing together, standing up, sitting down together, kneeling together, praying together, talking together, eating together. These are things that we need to do, apparently. And maybe the reason why we're seeing so many people suffer these days and become isolated is because we don't have enough things available for people to do that. I don't want to go to church. Church is boring to me. I used to go when I was a believer, when I was a Christian, and sometimes I would enjoy it, sometimes I wouldn't, but nowadays it's just all empty, hollow words. It doesn't have any coherence or meaning to me anymore. But what does, what I've discovered as a skeptic, is that I can learn anything. I can find out about any idea. I can look at the history of things, and I can find the truth as best as we can find the truth about any given topic, and it doesn't hurt my beliefs because I don't have beliefs anymore. When I was religious, I kind of had to protect myself from learning about things, lest I would hurt my faith. I couldn't learn certain things. There were certain things that were like, oh, Satanism, that's so scary. Well, actually, it's not. It's really just ridiculous and silly and mostly rumor. And there is a Church of Satan, but they're nothing like the Satanists that we were always told about. And I don't even think that there are any actual Satanists that we were told about anyways. But I can learn about that, and I could even go to any church I wanted and not feel like I shouldn't be there because, the demons are going to get me or whatever. Because I don't believe in demons anymore. The word spiritual doesn't have any significance to me anymore. It used to. I think instead I prefer to think of that sort of feeling as simply a feeling of awe. When I watched the Cosmos series with Neil deGrasse Tyson, every episode I would cry at the end because it was just so beautiful to learn all these things, and the way that it was done and presented, it was just like, wow, amazing, really great. And I can learn about reality through science, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I can learn about philosophy, I can learn about logic, I can learn about history, I can examine anything, and whatever I find won't hurt my beliefs. And that's amazing. I think there's a power to that, a power greater than religion, because religion, I was told once, it means to bind yourself, to bind oneself to an idea. Now, I don't know if that's an actual definition, but I think that that's a good way of looking at it, because it exists to bind you to tradition, to bind you to authority, and to bind you to ceremony. In Japan, where it's very non-religious, people will perform these ceremonies, but just because that's what you do. They're not doing them in thinking that something will happen. It's just, well, this is what everyone does. We ring the bell, we make the wish, you don't really believe that the wish is going to come true. Everyone just does this. And it's very just normal. It's not special. Whereas many Western religions are like, no, it really is special when you get baptized. That means something. You've changed and you've transformed. No, you just got wet for a while. It's not. And the reason you might feel a certain feeling after any ceremony is because you are the focus of attention. And being on a stage, being the focus of attention, gives you a special feeling. Well, you can do that by acting. You can do that by, being on video. If you want human interaction, there's all sorts of groups and places to go. There might be a secular group. Look up New Zealand secular meetups, or atheist or agnostic meetups, or skeptical meetups, and you might be able to find something near you. Now, I have nothing near me, and sometimes that happens, so the internet becomes the place where I find people that are non-believers, and sometimes we can get along and sometimes we can't, and that's also part of humanity. But I think that the desires that you've shared with us are understandable, and I think that you can find great joy in believing in yourself. You are the God. That's what I think I've learned the most after I deconverted from my religion, is that everything that I thought was God was always me. Every time that I needed more courage to move forward and I would ask God, I was just asking myself. Every time that I needed to cheer up and and asked for that, that was me. If I felt that I'd done something bad, that was me telling myself I had done something bad. I and you and everyone is the God, but not in the sense that we are the sort of gods that are talked about necessarily, but that you can create and you can destroy. You can bring into being wonderful films. Some of the films that you've done on YouTube, I call them films. It's just artistry, pure artistry. You film very well and you produce it very well, and I think that if you pursue that, you'll have a movie and or television or drama sort of career, and we will see produce the best movie ever, because I just think that that's what I've seen so far convinces me that would be very plausible, very possible that you would be able to do that. So rather than turning to religion or other woo that's out there, because people believe that crystals can do things, and psychics and shamans and gurus, and the power's in you. That's where it is. That's where it's always been for everybody. The power is in you. The spiritual is just you. And so, wanting to belong, you do belong to humanity. You and I and everyone else, we're all in this together, and we are, it appears, all we have. We don't need to pretend that there's magic, to make things more interesting. Things are already pretty dang interesting. Molecules and subatomic particles and quarks, and that's the way that reality really is. That's way better than anything that we could make up. Although the things we make up are pretty interesting sometimes. And it's okay to make things up, and it's okay to pretend, but we have to know that it's pretend and not say that it's real when we know better. And if you are atheist, agnostic now, I can't tell you that you should stay that way because it's your journey. I can't tell you to be skeptical, even though I tell people that we should remain skeptical of conclusions when they're full of logical fallacies, but that's a little bit different. I can only tell you that for me, losing faith actually meant gaining something so much more than I ever had before. And I think if you look at your abilities and see how wonderful they truly are, and see how wonderful you truly are, that you'll use that to propel yourself forward and find that you don't need anything on top of that. The garden is just beautiful enough as it is. We don't have to pretend that fairies take care of the garden.